Hi everybody, it's Christina from Card Making Magic. This is the card that I'm going to make today, and it's all centered around this beautiful verse that's at the front of the card. So the dies that we need to make the card are the grand large labels, the opulent ovals, and I've got the petite ovals in the scalloped and the plain, and I'm going to use some of these to create the centre part. Now, because the card features this sentiment, I have stamped and heat embossed it in silver, but I need to make sure that that aperture, that verse will fit inside that aperture. So I'm taking one of the plain ovals and I'm finding the one that the verse will fit inside. Now I'm not cutting this, I'm just making sure that that works. So to start with the base card, I've cut two of the shapes from the largest grand large labels, and I've cut one shape from the second size down, and then using my oval that allows my verse to show, I'm going to use that die again, and I'm going to put that one in the middle, and I'm going to cut those out so that this sheet then has the aperture in it. So once you've cut your aperture, I've also embossed the card, and because I'm going to use, where this is lilac, I'm using the blue, because I'm going to put this around some blue card, I need to cut that aperture out of some blue card as well, and then that will sit over that. So all I'm going to do once I've done that with both these pieces is just glue them in place, and then I'm going to faux nesty cut around this framework. So once they're glued in place, we're just going to cut around them so that it just leaves a small border around the edge, and we're going to do that on all four sides. And then freehand, I'm just going to cut these out so that we follow the shape of the actual die shape. And then once I've done that, I then have the two panels ready for adding to my base card. So just to recap, we've got the base card made, we've done the two panels, we're not assembling anything yet, we have the two panels. The next thing I need to do is cut out my frame, and that frame is going to sit on the front of the card. So I need to make sure that that will fit, and using the same die that I used to cut out that oval, I'm going to cut that frame out in the blue, and that will give me that shape. And then I need to find a die that will sit on top of that, and again using the same oval, I'm now going to cut out that frame, and that will give me that one. So now we've cut all the bits that we need to make the card. This is just a dry run, just to make sure that I've got it all in place. I've got my base card, and that's going to be my lining inside it. This is my verse, which is going to sit on the front of my card, and this is my double layer that is going to sit over the top. Now you need to make sure that that's straight before you glue everything in place. I've got my first frame and I have my second frame. Now all these are going to be added to the card with foam pads, and on the back of this I'm also going to put some foam tape. Now I've added foam tape to the back of my panel, and I've just put some little bits to stop the frame from collapsing. So I'm going to make sure now that that's sat in the middle, and I shall just trim down the excess that I don't need on that card, making sure that it fits, And then just to make sure that everything's in place, I'm just going to pop that down and hold that in place. And then once I'm happy that that's in the correct position, I'm going to take that away and glue that to the base card. So I've got my verse glued to my base card. I've got my foam tape on there, and I'm just going to pop that on the card, and the foam tape just raises it up from the verse. Now again, with some foam pads, I'm going to add the first framework around that verse. Make sure it's all centered. And then again with foam pads, I'm going to add the second framework on top of the blue one. So there's your framework in place. Now I've created some bows. Now the problem is, do I add a white one or do I add a blue one? My film crew says a white one, so a white one it is. So I'm now going to add my finishing touches. So from this lace I'm just going to cut off a couple of leaves, and they're going to be added to the card. So with a hot glue gun I'm just going to add in some leaves and some flowers along the side of the sentiment. And I have, from Want to Scrap, I've got one of the new blings. This is Eternal Swirl, and I've cut 2 pieces off from that, and I want the bling to look as if it's going through the card. So I'm adding a piece at the top and a piece at the bottom. And then with the leaves in place and the ribbon, I'm going to add a little heart dazzler to the top of the ribbon, and I'm going to put these in place with a glue gun. So I shall go away and do that, and I'll come back to you when I've finished. So I'm just going to add some little dabs of glue to my flowers, and then all I'm going to do is just add some glamour dust, some glitter to the flowers, and tap off the excess. So that's the front of the card finished. All I need to do now is just wrap some white ribbon around the other card, the other liner, and glue that in place. And that then is going to be added to the inside of my card, and that will line the inside. So there you have 3 very beautiful cards, all for your best friends, all created the same way, just using different colour schemes.